Hi everyone. The problem now that we are going to solve involves the input table purchase Q1 2019. So this has the information of purchase details in quarter 1 of 2019. This table has below columns which includes purchase date, that is the date on which the item was purchased, the item name, and the item quantity, that is the total quantity that was purchased. So each entry shows the purchase details of the item, the date on which it was purchased, and the total quantity of which it was purchased. So this is the input information. Now talking about the output. So as part of the output, we need the information related to each item as to the total quantity that was purchased in particular month. So, for example, here we have two items, cupboard and laptop. So, as part of the output, it is required to be determined that what was the total quantity that was purchased for each item in a given month. So, for example, the cupboard, there was no purchase made in January, and in Feb there was purchase of 150 quantity for the cupboard. Similarly, in month of March there was total 600 quantity that was purchased. So likewise for laptop, the total purchase was 1800 in January, 100 in February, and in March there was total quantity 400 that was purchased. So this is the output that is required. Okay. So now what we will do is, first we will determine the approach that we will take to solve this problem. So what we will do is, we will copy the input data into Excel sheet and formulate the approach that we can take to solve the problem. So this is our input data. What we will do is, in this input data that is present, we will add one additional column. That column will be our month column. So, related to the date the item was purchased, we will determine which month it belongs to. So, here it belongs to February. So, depending on which month the item belongs to, we will populate the particular month for that entry. So, this will be our first step. And why do we need to do this? Because in the output, we need the data month wise. Okay. So, this is the first step that we will take, that we will get the month name from the purchase date. Okay. After this, what we are going to do is, so this is our first step. So let's highlight what steps we have worked on. So this is our first step. Now what we will do is, on this data we will operate, and we will segregate the quantity based on the month it belongs to. So what does that mean is, we will create new columns for each month. So we have 3 months, so we will create 3 columns in this case. And based on, so for example, this column will have information for quantity of January month only. So for January month, the quantities are 300, 500, and 1000. Rest each and every quantity will be 0, because this column is particularly for January month. Okay, so this quantity we are getting, we are extracting the information of item quantity of only January data into this column. If there is any row which is of different month, it will be set to 0. So this is the segregation we are doing. On similar lines, we will segregate the data into February and March month columns. So February month is this, so it will have 50. So it will have this information here and this information here. Rest all the other rows will have the value as 0 because they are of non-February months. And the same approach we will follow for March as well. So March we have two entries and we will populate the values and rest others we will set to 0. So this is what we have done. Okay. So this is the second step that we have taken. As a first step, we have extracted the month name from the purchase date. That was our first step. As part of second step, we have segregated the item quantity month wise. Now what we will do is, as a next step, we will do the aggregation. So how we will do it is, let's take the month column and let's take the item name column, these two columns, and finally take the respective counts of the items in particular month. Okay, so this is the data we have. In fact, we don't need this month column, we just need this column. So now what we will do is, we will simply do the summation. So for each item, we will just sum what is the total in each of the month. Once we do that total, we will get the output. So for example, this will be summed together. So what this will result into is, we will have only one entry created for cupboard, and the summation of this will happen. Summation of this will result into 150, and here the summation will result into 600. Likewise, the other set, that is for the laptop, when we'll do the aggregation, this will be the sum, that is for the laptop for January month, the sum will be 1800. For Feb, it will be 100, and for March, it will be 400. So this way, we will formulate the approach here, formulate the solution. So repeating again what we have done. As first step, we have extracted the month name. As second step, we have segregated the quantity into respective month columns. And as a third step, we have just done the aggregation to get the final output. Okay, so having decided on the approach, let's work on to write the query. Okay, so now we will operate on this input data. So select from this table purchase Q1 2019, and as we said, we will keep all the columns, and now we will extract the month name from purchase date. So for that, we will use date name function. So in this function, what we need is the month, and from which column we need, it is the purchase date. So this will be our month column. So let's run and see the output, and further after that we will work further. So using the date name function, we have extracted the month name. So we have completed the first step. So now what we will do is, we will segregate the item quantity into different month columns. Okay, so that will be our next step. So what we will do is, let's make it a CTE. So this will be, say we can call it purchase CTE. Okay, so now we will operate on this data, that is purchase CTE output data, and we will proceed with the next step, that is we will segregate the item quantity into different month columns. So what we will do is we will preserve all the columns, and now we will create new columns. So how we will do it? We will do it using case condition. So we will check if the entry is of particular month. Say if it is of January, then we want the quantity to be there. Otherwise, make the quantity 0 and call this as January month column. So this is the segregation that we are doing for January month rows. Okay, so for this we will be getting it as the value. For the non-January columns, it will be having value as 0. So let's run and see the output. Okay, so there is some issue with purchase. Okay, the spelling mistake. Purchase CTE. Let's run it. So now we have the data. We have segregated the item quantity into January column for those entries which correspond to January month. For non-January month rows, we have the values set to 0. So on similar lines, we will do it for the other 2 months as well for this quarter. So let's use the same case condition and make the required changes. Okay, so now we will do it for February month, and then we will do it for March month. So this will be our February column, and then this will be our March column. So in that row, we are checking if the value is of that month, then we are retaining the quantity. If it is of not that month, then we are setting it to 0. So this way we can get the value for that month only and make it nullified or 0 otherwise if it is of not that month. Okay, so let's run this and see the output. So we have segregated the quantity now based on the month to which it belongs to. Okay. So we have completed our second step. Now the third step is doing the aggregation. So we will operate on this columns, and we will do the aggregation to generate the final data. So what we will do is let's make this as another CTE. Let's call it as month details CTE. Okay, so this is our second CTE, and now we will operate on this CTE. Okay, so what we will do is we will simply do the aggregation now based on the item name column, and we will do the grouping on this column, group by on this item name column, and we will sum the details for particular month. So we will sum for January. So this will give the details for January. We will give the Ilyas name as January only. And similarly, we will do the summation for other months as well. For February, we will do the sum. So that will give us the details for February. Likewise, we will do the summation for March, and that will give us the details for March month. Okay. So there is a video which we have done wherein we can write the aggregation in same select statement itself. We will be posting the link in the description. Also, the description can be seen at the top. So please refer that video as well, wherein we can consolidate this query into a single select statement. For now, for easiness sake, we will write it as a separate select statement using CTE. Okay, so we have done the aggregation now. So kind of we have done the aggregation wherein we will sum the total quantity for particular month. So let's run this and see the output. So we have got the final output. So basically for each of the item, now we have determined what is the quantity that is purchased for the particular month. Okay, so we have got the required output. So this is the query that we've written to obtain the final result. So just to summarize what we have done, we have extracted the month name from the purchase date. Then the next step is we have segregated the quantity into different month columns by using the case statements. So for a particular month, we have retained the quantity, otherwise we have nullified it. So this way we have done the segregation, and finally we have done the aggregation step wherein we have summed the value to obtain the total quantity for particular month. So this way we have got the right results. So we will be posting the create statements and insert statements in the description. Please go through it. If you have any alternate solution, please post it in the comments. If you found this video useful, please like the video and please put your comments of what you liked in the video and if it was helpful to you. And if you have not yet subscribed the channel, please subscribe the channel. Thank you.